Hi, this is CJ with CJatCompRCC.com. I'm getting ready to start into the build on the Axial SCX10 Dingo, and I wanted to go over some of the parts that I've got to upgrade and modify this right from the get-go as part of the initial build. These are an Axial product, as you can see from the big label, and this is a 4313 tooth heavy-duty pinion and drive gear, and on this the axle is actually built in, and these gears are much stronger than the standard gears that come with it. They're also larger, and I went with the larger gears because I want this crawler to go nice and slow, and I want it to have a lot of power. And certainly I'm going to get plenty of power from the Tekin Rock 412 crawling specific motor, but these will actually take a little bit of the load off of the connecting drive components. The transmission and the drive shafts will have a little more influence over the axle drive shafts and the wheels because of this reduced gearing. I do not have a new set of drive shafts yet, and I may be picking a set up. I imagine that is going to be one of the first things to fail. I have also been wanting to get a set of steel gears for the transmission, but everyone is out of stock. I did a lengthy internet search and could not find a single store that has them. This is a set of AX10 Scorpion universal joint axles that Axial makes, and these are going to replace the standard universal joint style, the spider style universal joints. This is more of a CV style joint, and this will allow the steering to go to more extreme angles so I can turn tighter. And this type of joint does not have the lash issues that you get from a spider joint type of universal. I have several of these weight strips, and I'm going to be adding a good amount of weight, especially to the front wheels when I assemble those. Speaking of the front wheels, this is a set of G-made rims. They're not very expensive. They're actually, altogether a cheaply made design. They're plastic. They're not a nice billet aluminum wheel, but I wanted to get a bunch of different items. I didn't want to spend a big chunk of my budget just on wheels, and you certainly can do that. Also, the Dingo has the fifth wheel, the spare tire on the roll cage, and I wanted to keep that, so I thought I'd go, and this is also one of the first things I got. I was thinking about going a less expensive route, and as you can see, I got rather carried away. But these wheels run about $12 a pair, and I needed 3 pair because I need the fifth rim. The nice thing about these, other than aside from the price, is that it does provide a little bit more of a scale look. This looks like what you would find on a Defender 90 out in the wild versus a nice pretty aluminum wheel that you'd find on the street. Some of the other mechanical items I am adding. This is a relatively inexpensive way to convert the Dingo's 3-link front and rear suspension to a 4-link. A lot of the later Axial kits, the more recent kits, have at least 4-link at one end, and if not 4-link at front and rear. The Dingo does not, and so that's something I'm going to be adding. I thought I'd go ahead and throw a winch in to the mix. It's a no-name brand. It's not something that carries a manufacturer's scale logo on it, but it looked like it would be a very nice winch for the money, and for the price I was able to get a remote control box as well. I found a very nice bumper set that is geared very much towards the Dingo, towards that Defender 90 style front end, and it's got the winch mount. Came with various pieces of mounting hardware, an extra set of light buckets, and several LED strands. And There was also a rear bumper that came with it. They are metal and they seem quite nicely made. I'm not sure if this will show up on the camera, but these uprights and these bars are screwed in place. They're not welded, and you know that may be nicer to have it welded. There's a lot of components out there, aftermarket components, that are welded together. The welds tend to be very large and don't look scale, whereas the way this is constructed, it looks a little more scale. This is one of 2 Axial light bucket kits that I got. If you're trying to get a nice scale look and you want a lot of lights on your car, these are a great way to go. You can use aftermarket LED kits or wire up your own. I'm actually doing a combination. I'm going to be using a handful of different LEDs on the car. If you look at the video where I talk about how I'm going to be painting and modifying the body, you'll get an idea of exactly how many lights I'm going to be using. And I'm kind of doing a combination. I'm using the GT Power RC car LED system, the 2.0 system. And it's got a controller box and a handful of strands of LEDs. And then I went online to Radio Shack and I bought a bunch of different LEDs in different colors. Some 5mm, you can see there's some red LEDs in here. And I'm going to try to mimic as closely as possible the lighting arrangement on the Defender 90, including side markers and tail lights. This is a nice little item that I happened to come across. It's not very expensive. It's specific to the Dingo, and it gives you a faux grille and the little light marker facades that go on a Defender. These holes are cut to accept an axial light bucket and lens, and these holes are cut for the 5mm size LEDs. So I'm going to be using these with a pair of LEDs and a light bucket with an LED there as well. This is another Axial product. This is an interior details parts tree, and it is chromed, which is nice because some of these items definitely lend themselves to being at least partially chromed and partially painted. I will probably be using some of these gear shifts and one of these steering wheels. If you have watched the video on painting the Dingo body, you know that I'm going to be attempting to build a scale interior out of polystyrene. And I say attempting because I don't know of anyone who's ever done this. I'm going to be showing that whole process on film, how I'm designing it, and how I build it. So that should be an interesting series alone right there. Another Axial part. These are the seats that come with the Wraith. If you are familiar with Axial's kits, you know that the Wraith does have an interior area. And so I ordered a set of their seats to use. I have a driver's figure. And if this interior pans out the way I hope, there will be a set of seats. I'm trying to build this so that it's a fun truck to drive, but so it also has a high level of scale detail. I don't want it to be so scale and be so delicate that it turns into a shelf queen. I definitely want to be out on the weekends with friends and the local club, crawling and enjoying this truck. So I've picked up a handful of little items like these scale jerry cans and this little fire extinguisher. I found these side view mirrors. They're made of rubber and have rubber mounts so they can take a bit of abuse. And these are the little stickers that make the lens. I picked up this little accessories pack from Proline, and as you can see, axe, shovel, a little spade digging tool, and a very nicely detailed, very scale looking off-road jack, and so that may go on across the hood or on the roll cage. And a few more things to add a little bit more scale, a little bit more detail, demonstrate a little more modeling skill. This is an aluminum diamond plate. It's very thin, and I'm going to be cutting various pieces of this. My goal, if you've watched the paint video, is to have some panels on the front fenders and hood, where a lot of the off-road Defenders have those for someone to stand on, as well as some kickboards, some little bumper or brush guards along the back corner of the body and along the top edge of the body where the passenger and storage compartment is. One last item to get a little bit more of that Land Rover feel. This is a metal emblem set that is sold by RC 4-wheel drive, and it has it's a little hard to see because there's this small Defender logo, and then there's the Land Rover logo for the rear, and then Land Rover lettering that would go across the front of the hood. That should add a nice little extra touch of detail. Another item from RC 4-wheel drive is these eyelets and the metal sockets. These are specifically made by or for RC 4-wheel drive, and they are designed to be axial specific. The way that the little metal ball stud is shaped and featured is designed to fit exactly the size and shape of the axial plastic product. This is just some wire casing that I'll be using when I put together my LEDs. It's going to look very similar to this weave right here. And so any place that wire is going to be exposed, up on the roll cage areas or out around the bumper, I'm going to try to use that casing. If you're interested in crawlers, go to my website, and I have an article about how to calculate what is the true scale of your particular kit and find out what is the right size action figure to use. Well, I think that about covers all of the additional items that I'm adding to the SCX10 Dingo. Please check back with my channel, and you will see videos coming out as this project comes together. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you've seen some items you want to get for yourself. If you follow me on Twitter, you will get immediate notification of any new articles I post on my website and any new videos that are put here on my channel.